A method to the madness. My name is Rob Maxwell, and I'm an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I'm the owner of Maxwell's Fitness Programs, and I've been in business since 1994. Today's podcast is from a question somebody asked me regarding kind of along the title of my book, You Can't Outrun a Poor Diet, but they saw somebody eating a bunch of junk food after their workout, and they thought to themselves, does this person think that their workout counters the food? And he asked me basically if it was true that losing weight was like 90% diet and the rest of it exercise and activity. And that's a great question, and I'm going to let the method to the madness figure that out today and talk about the science and then give you the scoop. Before I get into that, let me thank my sponsor, Jonathan and Lynn Gilden at the Gilden Group at Realty Pros. They currently have over 275-star reviews. That is an awful lot of reviews. And you know what? That stuff matters. When I go and I'm inquiring about a place, whether it be a hotel or a restaurant or whatever, or a great personal training studio, which we have great 5-star reviews as well. I look at those things. They really matter that people take the time to go in and give a good rating, and their rating is, right up there with perfect. So I am going to put all of their contact information in the show notes if you need a good real estate agent to help you sell your home or look for something new. They're your folks. All right, so let's get into it. How was everybody's weekend? Today is Monday. I hope that you are planning on getting out there and doing stuff for your wellness today, body, mind, and spirit. Really, really important to take care of our own health and practice good habits and be disciplined and all that good stuff. So that's my goal. All right, so to get to the question, the answer is yes. I always used pretty much that statistic that it's 90% diet and 10% activity level and working out. Now, it's important that we understand that that doesn't belittle exercise and working out. Exercise and working out has so many different benefits outside of weight loss, and unfortunately, it's been hijacked by the weight loss movement over the past 2 decades or so. And it definitely adds to losing weight. I mean, if we burn more energy than we take in, we're going to lose weight. So it definitely adds to the equation. But it's clearly been hijacked by the weight loss movement. And there's nothing wrong, of course, with the weight loss movement. I'm a big believer that everybody should strive to get to their most healthy weight, whatever that means. And that's not a societal imposed rating system on somebody. That doesn't get us very far. But how your weight relates to your health, ideally, is what's important. And skinnier is not always better. There's an ideal weight for everybody. I know that if I start doing a lot of running or when I've done physique shows and I get super lean, that's not an ideal weight for me. People say I look too thin, I feel kind of weaker, I don't feel as energetic. So skinnier isn't always better. There is an absolute happy medium to everything. So when it comes to trying to get to that healthy weight, though, we need to really focus in on that diet. And here is why. We know in the scientific world that it takes a deficit of 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound. We know that. It's energy. Calories are the unit of measurement of energy when it comes to food for us, for animals. So a kilocalorie is what we use for energy. 1 kilocalorie, which gets simplified down to a calorie. The average male needs somewhere between 1,600 and 1,700 calories a day to maintain their weight. And I say the average male because it really depends upon muscle mass, age, and those kind of things. But somewhere in the 16 to 1700 and a little bit higher in some cases. And the average female somewhere around 13 to 1400 calories. And if you haven't already figured out, the reason why there's a difference in number is because males typically weigh more. So males weigh more, they need more calories to sustain their body weight. All right. Now it takes 3,500 calories of a deficit below what you need to lose 1 pound. Here's where people get a little bit confused. I remember speaking with a client years ago, and she was really, really confused over that. She said, if I cut 500 calories a day off of what I'm currently eating over a week's time, I should lose 1 pound. Now, where she's getting that from is you probably have heard the advice that if you create a deficit of 500 calories a day, well, 7 times 500 equals 3,500. So in a week's time or 7 days' time, you will lose 1 pound. That's correct. That's a fact. That's science. Here's the rub on that. It has to be a deficit from what you need. And it's very hard to pinpoint exactly what that is. Now, there's basal metabolic rate machines, and I used to have one, and you can figure that out. But even that's an estimate science at best. Really, trial and error is the absolute best way to know what your true baseline is. Where she had it confused was she kept saying, if I take 500 calories off of what I'm currently eating, I should lose 1 pound per week. And I'd say, well, what if you're eating 3,000 calories a day? You take 500 calories off of 3,000 calories a day, and now you're consuming 2,500 calories a day, which is most likely about 1,000 more calories a day than what you need. So not only are you not losing weight, you're actually gaining weight. You're just gaining weight at a slower rate than you were before. So people have to understand that when we talk about creating a caloric deficit, that means off of what you currently need, which is why it makes losing weight while training for an event like a triathlon, a marathon, running, cycling events difficult, because you need that energy to sustain your activity. And I don't mean to go off in this direction because that could be a podcast in itself. But that's why I always say, one goal at a time. If somebody says, I want to lose 20 pounds and I want to run a marathon, I'd say, great. First, we lose 20 pounds. Then we get our nutrition back up to where it needs to be. And then we run a marathon. Don't try to do both. You're really going to put yourself into a pickle with your metabolism and with your moods and with your brain chemistry and all that kind of stuff. So, it's important to not get all of our goals confused. Okay. So getting back to it mostly being diet, think of the science here. That's what you need to think of. So we know that it takes 3,500 calories of a deficit to lose 1 pound. Now let's look at exercise. Let's say this person that my client was referring to, because they had a conversation and they're talking about losing weight. And then, he noticed afterwards that they were, eating some candy. And the logic sometimes is like, well, you need to up your blood sugar after a workout, and this is the best time to do it. Now, there is science that supports the fact that the best time to eat, say, simple carbohydrates is immediately following a workout, because the glycogen, which is the stored carbohydrates in your body, has been reduced, and so your body is sending out signals to scoop up all the extra glucose, the sugar, in your bloodstream and store it back as glycogen. So there is some scientific truth to that I think people hear. They hear that, and they hear that some of these elite athletes that really understand their nutritional science will have like their most sugary type treats right after a workout because it's more free, so to say. meaning that it's going to be gobbled up and stored as glycogen. Now, again, there's some truth to that. But the problem is with that is these elite athletes are already at their ideal body weight. They're not trying to lose any weight. They're not trying to create a deficit. That's the problem. So again, it's like taking a little bit of information, which I think we do all the time in health and fitness, and then try to apply it to our situation, or we try to apply it to every situation. So we hear, oh, our body's like a sponge and we can handle more glucose right after a workout. So I'm on a diet, or I'm trying to eat better, but I love, say, Twix or Snickers bars. That's going to be the time I can eat it. It's like, well, you're taking information that was based on elite athletes trying to get their glycogen levels back up, because these people are burning so much energy all day long that it's very hard for them to get the calories. All right, I'll give you an example. Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer, obviously was an elite athlete, probably still is, even though not competing. He would have to consume 11,000 calories a day just to get what he needed, because he had such a surplus of extra energy spent because of his swimming. Okay, that's a situation that most people do not get themselves into. All right, so yes, he would eat some junk food or whatever. When we're trying to lose weight, we really don't quite have that luxury. So say this person is on a goal to lose weight. That's great. As I said, everybody should be attempting to reach their ideal weight. They go to the gym, and let's say they spend 15 minutes on the treadmill. Let's say they weigh, 160 pounds. So that 15 minutes on the treadmill may burn somewhere around 100 calories, okay? Then let's say they go out and they do a workout. They do a full body strength routine, and it takes them 30 minutes. That's going to burn around, say, 220 calories per that half hour. And that's a best estimate based on their weight, meaning I'm being kind of forgiving on that. So now they're somewhere around 320 calories in 45 minutes. Now, that's a decent workout time for a lot of people. A lot of people who are trying to lose weight and working jobs, 45 minutes a day, that's not too bad. Like, that's a pretty good amount of time. But let's say they have a little more time. So they say, I hear that if I do a cool down, I will bring my body back to normal and I can burn a few more extra calories, which both is true. So they get on the treadmill, they do another 5 minutes, say at like 3.5 miles an hour, they're walking. Well, now they burned, maybe an additional, say, maybe 30 calories, something like that, 30 or 40 calories. Let's say 50 just to round it up. So let's say their entire workout burned somewhere around 370 calories, and it was a 50-minute workout. So that's not bad. That's not bad. Now they eat that one candy bar because they want that treat. So that one candy bar is going to be around 250 to 300 calories. So in roughly 50 minutes, they burned 300 and something calories. And in 2 minutes, they consumed somewhere around 300 calories. You get it? This, in this case, isn't rocket science. It is so hard to keep up with that when it only takes a couple minutes to consume that many calories. And you think, well, Rob, that's just, 300, and maybe they don't do that all day. It's like, no, maybe they don't, but that's still the extra calories they really didn't need to consume when they could have banked that time, meaning banked the calories and said, I'm starting my day. Let's say this was first thing in the morning. I'm not sure if it was, but I'm starting my day in, say, a deficit of 300 and something calories. That's pretty good. And now I'm going to, have nothing until breakfast. I'm going to shower. I'm going to have my normal breakfast. Well, now you're off to a good start with that. All right. But his question was in the title of my book, You Can't Outrun a Poor Diet, which is why I made it, is, that very case. He was asking me, and he wanted confirmation because I think he might have had, I wouldn't say an argument, but he was maybe trying to understand a little bit better himself and make sure he didn't have it wrong, that you can eat whatever you want when you work out. And the reality is you absolutely just can't. I mean, that sounds great, but that's just not the case. I mean, that's not the case with me. That's not the case with you. That's not really the case with Michael Phelps. I mean, to take in that 10, 11,000 calories a day, I mean, his swim workouts and swim loads were something none of us would want to do. None of us could do, not capable of doing that kind of yardage and stuff in the pool without hurting ourselves. So, and that's true for elite cyclists, elite runners, anybody that burns up a ton of energy. So, it's really just not possible. But the point is that it is so easy to consume a lot of food, and it is so hard to burn it. That's just the science. The average person burns 130 calories a mile when they run, the average person. Now, it doesn't matter what speed you run when it comes to burning calories. People have a hard time with that. It's a 7-minute mile per mile burns the same amount of calories per person than a 12-minute mile per mile. So really it comes down to the distance covered as far as that goes. And if you are wondering why, again, it's simple science. If you're running that 7-minute mile, you're getting that mile done faster, right? In 7 minutes. And if you're running that 12-minute mile, it's taking you a little bit longer. The caloric output is all the same. So the average person burns about 130 calories per mile. Now, if you weigh more, you're going to burn more calories per mile. If you weigh less, you're going to burn less. It's really that simple. But let's say you go for a 5-mile run. Well, that's a good distance to cover. I mean, that 5-mile run is a good run. That's not a short run really for anybody, except if I guess you're an elite marathoner. But even then, that's time out of your day. Well, now you're talking around 600 calories for a 5-mile run. Sounds like a lot, right? That's 2 slices of pizza. That's 2 slices of pizza, and I'm being fair to the pizza, meaning that pizza's got no pepperoni, that pizza has no sausage, that pizza is cheese, tomato sauce, bread, pizza. 300 calories a piece on the average slice of regular pizza. That's 2 slices. I could easily eat that. If I'm just eating normal, I can eat that in 5 minutes. If I'm rushing it, I can fold it up and pound it down like I've done when visiting New York before. So you just can't do it. And I've tried to give you some numbers to help you understand that when you are attempting to take weight off, it's got to come from your eating habits. It absolutely has to come from your eating habits. And it's not even healthy, really, to take it the other way around. And I know of a lot of people that I know and people that I just observe on social media who have kind of quasi-eating disorders, when I used to teach sports psychology, we would call it more disordered eating. Let's call it that. Eating disorders can be classified as anorexia and bulimia, and there is a disordered eating pattern that essentially means that the person could be on their way to those 2 very serious conditions. And I believe that some people do that with exercise sometimes, and they will do extra exercise in the hopes that they can now eat a little bit more. Now, like everything, there's no black and white. So that could be a little normal, like, I'm going to do a little bit more because I know I'm going to have an extra or a piece of pie on Christmas or whatever. Okay, that sounds pretty reasonable. But when this becomes like a daily way of thinking, I think it gets a little bit dangerous. I think what ends up happening is you really get into that mindset of, if I can do this, then I can do that type of thing. And what ends up happening is your body, even though you think it can, maybe your joints can keep up with that kind of running, or you're swimming or biking, but there's such a thing as adrenal fatigue. And when you really start pushing your central nervous system over and over and over, and I've talked about this before in Saley's stress adaptation syndrome, your body starts to push back. You get overtrained, you get over fatigued, and your body starts pushing back, and you get hormonal imbalances. And one of the last things we want to do as we get a little bit older, we get middle-aged and older, is start to get even more hormonal imbalances than we start to already acquire. So it's just not recommended that we chase the dragon, so to say, that we, I'm going to run 6 miles and I'm going to have this extra piece of food. I mean, it's better to get your weight into the ballpark that you want it at, maintain it, and then strive for other goals. It's really the healthiest way to do it. I've seen too many people train for endurance events and try to lose weight, and they absolutely get themselves into adrenal fatigue for sure. So hope I answered the question. The Method to the Madness looks at the science, and the science I gave you today is just simple numbers. Simple numbers. 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound. You're going to burn 120 to 130 calories per mile for the average person. And I use per mile because weight-bearing exercise, we can all relate to it. It takes roughly 2 minutes to consume that kind of calories at best. So it's really just simple math. We simply can't keep up. And then the other scientific answer is, like, even if you say, oh, yes, I can go at this all day long, I'm going to prove you wrong. Well, then we get into overtraining, which gets us into adrenal fatigue, which gets us into our body pushing back and holding on to body fat. So we absolutely can't outrun a poor diet. It is not going to work. My suggestion is, if you're really struggling keeping the calories down, the old, it's not what you're eating, it's what's eating you. Why are you using food? Are you using it to help you with anxiety? Are you using symptom substitution, replacing one addiction for another? Do you just not know better? Are you just in bad habits? Like, that's what I would start looking into if you're struggling with this and trying to use exercise to outrun your poor eating habits. Hey, when we're younger and we've got a metabolism of a hummingbird and we're on the run all the time and we're not paying attention, and we probably could get away with not really thinking too much about what we eat and eating on the run and all that. But as we get older and settle down, we need to think a little bit more. We need to plan ahead a little bit more and actually evaluate what we're doing, why we're doing it, and that's just what it takes to get it done on a daily basis with everything, right? All right, so that was a great question. Keep them coming. I want to thank our second sponsor, chiropractic physician Doris Antos. She's here in Volusia County. I'm here in Volusia County. She's in Ormond Beach. She does all types of chiropractic techniques with people. She doesn't just treat you like a number. She figures out exactly what you need and helps you. We refer to her. She's absolutely great. If you don't have a chiropractor, it's a good physician to have on hand. I mean, not just if you're having problems, but in general, they're a big health advocate. I believe in them, absolutely. And I will put all of her contact information in the show notes as well. Until next time, be Max Fit and be Max Well.